What would you do with a brain if you had one?
Hey, welcome back to Quint Street Machines. So a couple of weeks ago, in the last video we dropped on this project, I had gotten the body set onto the frame. We cut some of the cross member out for the rear suspension and found out it still wasn't quite enough, and the body was sitting about 5 to 6 inches farther forward than it needed to be. And we need to get that dialed in before I can really start taking measurements and figuring some stuff out. So let's cut some more of that rear subframe out and see if we can't get this thing sitting where it needs to be. Got a little bit more out of the bottom of this thing. She's a big one. That was a rather large crossover in there. So yeah, good. Now we should have plenty of space up in here to set this down over the frame. Why is it raining every time I do this? Gee, what am I going to do here? I know. Alright, see how we look center to center. Gotta come this way, I think. Like a lot. All right, so here it is. We've got it sitting on the frame, front to back, where it needs to be finally. Centered kinda over that wheel. I haven't decided exactly where I want to center the wheel yet. We'll do that later, but we're close enough now that I can at least take some important measurements to figure out what we got to do. So now that we know the body's moved front to back where it needs to be, I can see how much is going to be hanging out underneath it, which is basically everything behind the shackle. Kind of needs to go away, which is why I didn't bother cutting all this stuff off yet, because I figured if I just got to cut this off anyway, why waste all the abrasives doing that? But the other thing is, really don't want this shackle just dangling out the bottom like this, because that's not going to look cool at all. So judging by where we're at right now, we're going to need that body to come down like 3 inches. I'd like to at least cover the top bolt. I think that would look okay. We can also, once we do that, we can also make a bumper to kind of come down a little bit and hide some more of it. So we do have options, but now at least I know what we're looking at there. And I know that this shackle is not going to be hanging out back here, which is something I was definitely worried about. So in order to get this body to drop down over that bushing, we need to come down about 3 inches is what we measured. So if we look here, the body is sitting right on top of the frame here. So we would have to gain 3 inches here in order to be able to lower the body at all. So luckily, I think we can do it, and here's why. So this is your wheel housing here. That's the wheel tub you see when you look at the back of the bed. This is the inside of them where the tire goes. So obviously. So the thing is, though, the bed floor itself is going to be the thing that limits us. We can cut some of this stuff out. There's a lot of structure in this car that we're not going to need because it's no longer going to be a unibody vehicle. It's going on a frame. So we can eliminate some of the structure in this vehicle. And this is another point. This is a cross member that rotted out going this way, going in and across to the other side. That's completely rotted in there. But it lets me feel where the bed floor is, and the bed floor is right here. The bed floor is right here along this line that you may or may not be able to see, and that line is over 4 inches, almost 4.5 actually. Yeah, it's about 4¼ inches above the frame rail at the moment. So I know I can bring that down 3 inches and still have 1 inch of clearance on the bed floor, and that will cover our rear shackle and get the body down. But we need to make sure that's still enough because, well, let me show you. So here's the other thing we have to think about. Right now, the body is a little nose down, so it's not quite straight to the frame. So let's say we pull down 3 inches in the back, like we just talked about. That'll lower this 3 inches. And this right here, this is the original pinch weld location. So that would come down 3 inches if we were just to do that, which means the pinch weld is going to end up about there. We're only going to have about 1 inch or so of frame hanging out the bottom. And quite honestly, once this thing all comes down lower anyway, it's going to be harder to see. You're going to have to be farther out to see the frame. So 3 inches might actually do the trick, but there's something we have to consider. Let me go over to the other side. Okay, so if you look over here, what you'll see is we have our original rocker panels. And I already showed you the pinch weld. There's another pinch weld down here. And this is the original floor pan, or what's left of it. And the original floor sat right there. So right now we're about 1 inch above the frame here. And we're probably about 2 inches above the frame in the back over here. It's just a little crooked. I can level the body out, fix that. Or we can angle the body more so we have a raked look, whatever we need to do. Now, we have a couple issues here. One is, this is a pretty small car. Not a lot of space in here, and I would like people much bigger than myself to be able to drive this car. I really don't want to lose any interior space. So as far as the floor goes, we can only come down about another 1 to 1.5 inches on this thing before we start losing floor space. So there's a couple ways we can address that. Is if we come down 3 more inches from here, we got about 1.5 inches to go. So we're either going to lose 1.5 inches of floor space, or the cool thing is, this frame right here is 5.5 inches tall here, but it's about 4.5 inches up here, just over 4 there. So what I think I might do, because I already own the tubing and we don't have to spend any money on it, and I'm going to replace this section of frame right here under our butts. with a 4-inch tall piece that goes all the way through, and it's completely boxed, and it should be just as strong as this unboxed C-channel right here. So we can do that, and that'll give us another 1.5 inches of clearance. So if we drop this body down 3 inches, we can leave the floor exactly where it is and have it still either clear or just sit on top of the frame. So I haven't decided also whether we're going to use bushings to mount this like the original pickup truck used, or if we're just going to bolt the body directly to the frame. So I think we can drop this body 3 more inches, and I think that will get the body low enough to look correct and fit correct. So it just leaves one more place we got to do some measuring and see what's going on. We really want a lot of this engine sticking out of the hood. Like I said, this is a street freak. It's supposed to have a visual impact coming down the road. As a matter of fact, my goal for this car is to win the Kids' Choice Award anytime they have that at a car show. I want this to look like a Hot Wheels. So the oil pan rail will actually end up being about 3 inches to 4 inches off of the cross member. Let's say we do 4 inches off the cross member. That'll give us about 2.5 inches of clearance under the oil pan. And that should be enough to be able to get it off when it's in the car. That should do the trick. So if the bottom of the oil pan is 4 inches off the cross member, or I'm not sorry, the bottom of the oil pan, the bottom of the engine block, that takes us from 27, where are we at? About 28 actually, 29. Yeah, actually about 28. So if I come up 4 inches from that, that gives us 24 inches to the top of the hood. Now 24 inches is going to put our tunnel ram about 1 inch out of the hood. So if we were to drop this 3 inches, we'd be 4 inches sticking out of the hood. So 4 inches at the top of the tunnel ram will be showing out above the hood. It's not a lot. Now, don't get me wrong. I can always raise the engine up a little bit to make it look correct in the engine compartment. The only downside to that is it increases our roll center. So when we're going around turns and stuff, it's more likely to lean and roll and do all that stuff. Not necessarily an issue. I'm not building this thing to go around corners. Like I said, this is a visual impact car meant to go to a cruise night or sit around at a car show and just look cool. 3 inches may not be enough is what I'm trying to say to get the look we want in the engine compartment. All right, so there it is. We've got a lot of measurements done now. We've got an idea what we're going to be doing with this thing, and I can start moving forward with some more stuff. I got to wait for the plasma cutter tips to show up before I can start cutting some more underneath here. Otherwise, I got to climb under there with death wheels, and I'd just rather plasma cut it out. It's way faster. So yeah, really appreciate it, guys. Thanks a bunch for watching. I appreciate all the new subscribers. It means a lot to me when you guys subscribe. It lets me know that you care enough about this content for me to keep making it. Also, feel free to comment. I love reading your comments. I like responding to your comments. Sometimes you guys say some weird stuff and I'm not sure how to respond, but I'll come up with something. The channel's not so big yet. I can't answer all your comments, so I will. So thanks a bunch is what I'm trying to say. I appreciate every last one of you. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. And until we see you next time, take care of yourselves.